Guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to spend some time to talk to you guys about some of the tips you need to consider when you are crafting a good CV, okay, in advance to make a job application. Now, you may not know it, but a CV, okay, is probably one of the most important documentations you are going to use when it comes to actually making a decision to whether or not to invite you for an interview and ultimately give you that job. So it's actually very important that you pay quite a lot of attention to how you structure your CV and how you basically put your experiences in your CV to make sure that you get the maximum possible chance to stand out. And talking about standing out, I do have a CV review service which you can book onto by clicking the link down in the description box below. Right, so let's get to it then. So ideally, the first section of your CV really ought to contain information about you. So who you are, what your qualifications are, what you studied, and also your contact details. Now, particularly on the contact details area, you want to make sure that, for instance, your email address has a professional sound to it, okay? You don't want to put an email address that sounds like tarzan.gmail.com or something like that, unless, of course, your name is actually Tarzan. But you want to make sure that your email address has a professional sound to it. You'll be amazed as to some of the weird email addresses I have seen on some clients' resumes, okay? So you definitely want to make sure that that is one of the first things you are paying attention to, because as much as you don't think it, it actually is very, very important, and it says a lot about you. So the next thing you want to pay attention to is making sure that you have included relevant courses, certificates, qualifications, if possible, that are relevant to the job or to the profession that you are applying for or that you are within. So for instance, as a qualified accountant, I would obviously put my qualification status and the name of my qualification on my CV. I would also make sure that I included other relevant professional courses that I've taken. So for instance, in my case, that is also project management qualifications. In your case, that might be something else. Make sure ideally this particular information sits on the first page of your CV, okay? So you don't want to leave it too late down in your CV to actually put this relevant points across, because a recruiter, an agency, will be scanning your CV, and if they are able to see those particular details at a snapshot, then it will help them make those decisions a lot quicker and easier. The next thing you want to pay attention to when you're writing your CV is the chronological order of your work experience. So if you've been working for, say, 5 years, for instance, you want to make sure that whatever experience you gained from, I don't know, back in 2018, for instance, or 2019, is what is sitting, towards the very end of the CV rather than at the top part, okay? So ideally, your most current and recent work experience should sit towards the top first page of your CV. The next thing you want to pay attention to when writing your CV is to make sure that with regards to your work experience, your older work experience has been written in the right tense, okay? A lot of candidates often forget this. So when you are actually revising and revisiting your CV, you need to make sure that if a work experience has been done historically, you write it as though it has already happened, okay? So in the past tense as opposed to in the present tense. So do make sure that you are updating that regularly. And for your most current work experience, you want to make sure that you are actually writing that as though it were in the present tense, because it is in the present tense, because it is the work experience that you are presently doing. Next thing you want to pay attention to when you're writing your CV is making sure that you're using power words. You are using active action words to describe what it is you did or you are currently doing in your particular job. For instance, if you are someone who had the position of a project manager or you worked within projects, so rather than saying I worked within projects or I worked as a project assistant for XYZ organization, you can rephrase that to say I was responsible for the critical evaluation of projects worth up to £15 million to determine and assess their capital and revenue affordability. Okay, so that has a better ring to it because it actually tells the agency what you were actually doing. It also quantifies the magnitude of the task or of the role that you actually did in that particular organization, and it makes your role a lot more bigger. Okay, so these are just some of the tips that I thought I would share with you. If you'd like to speak to me one-on-one regarding, your CV, your application, or you just want to ask me a few questions regarding, a role in accountancy, then do make sure you use the link down in the description box below. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Please do make sure you give this video a thumbs up and make sure to hit the subscribe button. I will see you in my next video.